theology, sports,
entertainment,
personal issues,
and more. You're listening
to
The Conversation 95.
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome. I'm here in a different location. Mr. Zimba is to blame for this.
Come on,
Mr.
man.
Zimba is to
I
blame for
knew he
this.
was going to do that.
Mr. Zimba is to blame for this because
Let it go.
we had to follow him.
No.
So yeah, it's not the usual studio, but if you could see where I am, I won't say where I am, but if you could see where I am, you would understand. So yeah.
You're going to cause.
So I'm here with Mr. Wayne Zimba again. Thank you so much for taking the time, Mr. Zimba. As always, it's awesome having you on this.
It's a pleasure, Dan. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And I'm also here with my brother, my friend, Umuntu Wanji, Umuntu Wesu, One Mubanga, Mr. Mubanga. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure is all mine.
Yeah, definitely. So today, because it's a popular thing, it's something we can't get around. Mm-hmm. It's in our movies, it's in our series. We text about it, we talk about it. It's in the papers, it's everywhere. It's on Facebook, it's on WhatsApp. You know, it's everywhere. So we're talking about it again, relationships. So the first question that I wanted us to tackle is what exactly, when talking about dating specifically, what exactly is the end goal of dating? And so I'll pass on this question to Busuma first, and then maybe Mr. Zimba can chime in just after
as the old guy.
Okay.
As the old guy, of course.
So I feel this is the mistake that most young people make, is that we enter relationships without knowing the end goal. Like what is the whole purpose of being in a relationship? Is it to be kept warm by someone, or so there's a number of things, but for me, I feel my end goal in a relationship is to be happy with the woman that I love.
Nice,
and to glorify God together.
Nice.
Because that's the whole purpose of it.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. That's deep, eh?
That's very deep.
Mr. Zimba.
And that's a young man speaking like this.
Mr. Zimba, standard action. Now this gives you hope for our generation.
No, not yet.
Wait, on Monday, Mr. Zimba. Mr. Zimba, you do us a Judas like that. He does a Judas live on the show.
Yes, I want the listeners to know. I want them to know.
Mr. Zimba, at least with that answer, the faith has been restored to at least 10%. 10%. There's hope. There's hope that this generation is going somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. 10%. Let's try and get it to at least 50% by the time the episode is done. So yeah.
I love what he said. You have to know why you're getting into something. Remember, a relationship is basically an agreement. What have you agreed to? There's no way you can just get up and just follow someone. You don't know where they're going. You just get up and say,
well, not that today.
Even me, I'm following.
They don't have a relationship.
The day ends today.
I just have to.
You get what I'm saying?
But Mr. Zimba, on the flip side, there are actually a lot of people who think that way, to say, okay, not necessarily thinking in that way to say I just have to be in a relationship, but I think because in our culture we're surrounded by there's that pressure in terms of we're surrounded by so many people that are dating people. So someone will end up saying, for the sake of being in a relationship, let me also start dating someone. So let's not laugh too much at that, because there are people who get into such things just based on that.
Okay, for me, first of all, I'll put it this way. Maybe I'll go a little bit in detail in saying there's the primary reason of getting into a relationship and the secondary reason of getting into a relationship. One getting into a relationship must have an answer for both. In the primary reason, it's about companionship. Is this person compatible? does this person meet my psychological needs? Remember, it's all about psychological needs first, before you even get to physical. That's just the truth when you're talking about a life partner. And as believers, we even take it a step further to say it's also a spiritual thing. The thing is, if primarily this person doesn't satisfy your faculty, doesn't satisfy your conscience, I would suggest don't take this thing any further. What is the danger in that is that you end up hurting someone. When you come in the long run and say...
So, Mr. Zimba, sorry, just to cut you short there. Practical example. I meet a lady, we're talking and that sort of thing. So, do I give it like, okay, let's see if we can... Maybe I give myself a time frame of maybe like a 1 week kind of thing, or a couple of days, just to see whether this person and I are compatible.
Okay, if you remember in the episode we did previously, we talked about doing your research concerning the time factor.
Yeah.
When you get into a relationship, you have to always know that for them that are seriously getting into a relationship, like I said, you have to consider the primary factor and the secondary factor. And that is all governed by time. So you meet this beautiful lady. Your eyes and your senses say, this is the type of woman I want. Well and good. That is very good. But is this the person I can stay with for a long time? Now the time factor comes in. You need to get to know this person. How do you get to know this person? Of course, we're talking about at an intellectual level. Because if you cannot meet at intellectual level, trust me, everywhere else it won't work.
There's a breakdown, eh?
There'll be a breakdown everywhere else.
B, have you thought about some of these things? Have you ever thought about some of these things?
I have.
Okay.
And I would say the reason why I haven't really been involved with someone, or let me just say me not being in a relationship, is because I really haven't found the right answer. And this is why I'm holding back.
So I think one of the things, I'm sure you've noticed this, B, in our age group, no one ever thinks of these things. Like usually what happens is we'll dive into something. Then when the consequences come, or when we see the person for who they really are, it's like too little too late, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
And then the damage has been done and whatnot. We've gone into all the drama and things.
Exactly.
By the time we're getting out of a relationship or whatever, and that's provided it hasn't even gotten to marriage yet. By the time we're getting out of the relationship, there's scar tissue and there's all these things, there's heartbreak and things like that. And then the other person now that we find, whoever will meet, the next person will have to deal with all those things.
That's just the truth. And you see, it's important to understand that, look, a relationship, I'm talking about serious relationships. I'm not talking about flings.
High school.
I'm talking about a serious
not high school.
No,
musical.
not at the level that you guys are at.
High school musical.
Not at the level you guys are at.
Not high school musical, guys.
You see, the level you guys are at now, you're going into a situation where even people are looking at you now like, hey, when you finish school, you've not shown us anyone. I'm sure even the parents are like, you don't bring guests here. Are you wondering like, Mom, what guests are you talking about? You don't bring guests here.
They'll start hinting.
You know, we want to see you. Or you start hearing things like, your mother and I are getting old.
Grandchildren.
Yeah. You have to get old. It's the order of life. No, they're actually telling you
code.
Young man.
Code.
At least bring someone here, introduce her here, so that all of us will be like, ooh. All right,
yeah.
We're okay. We're okay.
We know that it's set. Things are set.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm sure all of you have heard such terms. You know, parents will speak in parables. That's just the truth.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
they'll hit you there like, yo. You know, when you visit, don't visit alone. But Mom, I'm your only child. Yeah, but don't visit alone. What are you talking about? So the thing is this. I'll tell you. The primary issue is psychological compatibility, intellectual compatibility. Why am I touching on these two things? Intellectual compatibility is this. I believe as a man, you've got plans, you've got a vision. You get what I'm saying? Now, you come and put someone on board your vessel who is going the opposite direction. What will happen? Conflict will ensue. You'll be in a relationship that is constantly filled with conflict. One of you will have to give. And that will be the problem. Because of intellectual compatibility. You have to be a person who, both of you must reason at the same rate. Where you say, I'm not talking about that person. If you're a doctor, she also has to be a doctor. No, that's not what I'm saying. But she has to be of a certain intellect to understand you, to speak your language, to understand, to see the things you see, to hear the things you hear. Because that way, you'll be seeing and speaking and hearing the same things. It will be easy to move forward in the same direction. Whereas,
an example to that, Mr. Zimba.
Okay, an example to this. You're in a relationship, right? You're in a serious relationship. You're feeling, I think she could be the one. Then this happens. You start talking about a future with her. Okay? And then she says, me, I can't get married to a farmer. But then here's the thing. Your vision is, when I finish school, I want to work for some time, raise some money, and then invest in my father's farm. Invest in my mother's farm. Okay? That's my target. That's my vision. That's where my vision has always been. But here's a woman who comes and says, I don't want to be farming. I don't want to be a farmer. I have no interest in farming. Now, keep in mind, who says that your beginning will be easy? It won't be. Some of the farming you'll have to do on your own.
Yep.
But the problem is this. You're doing it because you enjoy it. Your friend will be pushed. Remember, one of you will have to give. Your friend will be pulled into it, will not enjoy it. So when the project actually starts, or when your life starts to move in that direction, what's going to ensue? Conflict. Every time you're dealing with the farm and your wife or your woman, conflict will ensue. Every time, conflict will ensue. Now, is she a bad person?
No.
No. It's just not in her to be a farmer.
Yeah.
Did she not say so?
She did.
She did. So, what is the best thing for you to do? Find someone else who doesn't have a problem with that. And you want.
It's a simple problem. I mean, it's a simple issue. Problem solved, right?
The problem is today's relationships, we're forcing our spouses or our friends, if I may say, no, our loved ones. We're forcing them to change. I don't know where this is coming from. We force our friends to change, to suit us. But where in the Bible does it say that? Look, you have to find someone who's compatible to you. You know yourself. There is someone for you. With all these ladies that you know, all these men that you know, there is someone. Look, it's not about saying, no, we've got this in common. No, watching TV is not something that you can say, no, we've got that in common. No.
Ouch.
No, that's just the truth.
Ouch.
We're talking.
At list down some of the things you like. I like watching TV. I like reading novels.
So
I'm sure you've read that.
Already that list is wrong.
Mr. Zimba, at that point you're like, oh,
we've got that in common.
This is the one.
Keep in mind.
I like godly men. Oh, I like godly women. Okay.
Let's get married. Let's get married.
So we're together. Okay. So then in future, now the conflict comes.
Because now the truth of the matter is this. Look, don't mistake behavior for intellectual what? Understanding. No, behavior has got nothing to do with your intellect. Look, your behavior can change anytime. I can like tea today and say I hate tea tomorrow. I'll give an example. Once upon a time, I loved Ifin Kubala. Now I don't even want them near me. Trust me, I used to eat those things I know, man, like the way people eat groundnuts. That's how I would eat them. But today I don't even want them near me. That's a behavior change. But intellect is different. Because intellect has to do with your character. Your character never changes. It's a situation of getting into a relationship when you go deeper into the relationship and say, I didn't know that Usuma was this type of a man. But wait, did he ever change? No, he didn't. It's just that now you've realized that at an intellectual level, you are in different frequencies.
We're not meeting.
Different,
no signal.
Different frequencies.
No signal.
Different frequency. Now you realize to say, what you call red, him equals blue. What you call white, him equals black. What you call yellow, him equals green. And now there's a problem.
And you see now, yes, exactly. Now the problems begin.
This is what I was saying. The time factor matters, because the time factor will help you, both of you in your relationship, to remove certain things. You will understand that this is about behavior. No, I'm not interested in behavior. I want to know character, and I need to know her intellectual character. We're talking about when it comes to decision making. Now people misunderstand. They say as believers, the man is the head of the house. Look, just because you're called the head of the house does not mean it's about decision making. No. Being the head, according to the Bible, means you're the one who gives direction. That doesn't mean it's you who has to give decisions. Look, there were situations where Aaron had had better ideas than Moses. Check your Bible. There was once a maid servant who had a better idea than her own master. She literally told him, look, I know of a man who can heal you.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So it's not about decision making. No. God comes and brings it down in this manner. He says, husbands, love your wives. Then what does he tell the woman? Submit. What has that got to do with decision making? Submission is just, look, change your understanding. What does submission mean? To totally agree to follow as unto death. So what happens is this. If a woman's husband sees white as black, and all the while in her education and her father and mother, now that she is with her husband, even her, she should take her husband's understanding to say, this is black, it's not white. They will never differ in their lives. That is submission. By carrying another person's understanding. Now, how do you get to that point if you're just getting into a relationship? Understand a person's intellectual character.
So, we've talked about understanding. We've talked about what was the first one that you mentioned, Mr. Zimba?
I talked about the time factor. I talked about understanding intellectual character. I wanted to also touch, maybe in the next one I'll touch on the psychological compatibility.
So, all these things, psychological compatibility as well. So
Doing
all these
the
things,
research.
exactly. All these things are going towards the end goal.
The end goal,
The end
yes.
goal of the dating. So which is?
Marriage.
Okay.
So this is the reason why we get married. We date because we're going to marriage. But it's a journey. People shouldn't. I don't know where this comes from, where people meet today. Tomorrow they want to get married. Truth be told, there's all these words that come in now. No, soulmate and whatnot. Soulmate. Are you sure? You don't even know if that guy is a serial killer. If that woman poisoned who?
This is where the generation gap. Now it starts. Because
you see,
now we're going into Mr. Zimba's time, the practical aspect of things.
In our
generation, we're talking about soulmates and things like that.
In your time, you guys are talking about.
By the way, Busuma, in your own experience, have you heard that term before?
Which term?
Soulmate.
Soulmate.
And
So many times.
even more importantly, have you used it before?
I have. I was even going to say.
That's a good point. That's a good
sorry,
question.
people. If you could see Mr. Zimba's reaction just now.
Oh.
If you could see Mr. Zimba's reaction just now, wow, it's priceless. Anyways, yeah,
that person is Danny.
Go on.
To say what a soulmate is that person who is meant for you, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
But looking at it,
We are meant to
I've
be.
got a number of people.
We are meant to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
Baby, we are meant to be.
Yeah, wait. No. Because you see, the thing is this. There's also now the psychological aspect. Remember you touched on issues to say, look, this person has been, every person has a history. All of us are coming from others are coming from good homes, others are coming from bad homes. Now, here's a guy, very handsome, very good looking, but he comes from an abusive home where he sees his father beat his mother every day. And when he talks to you, when you're meeting in the love bubble,
Things are proper.
you can't see those things.
Yeah.
Things are proper.
Then,
By the way,
anyway.
the concept of the love bubble is very deep, eh? The love bubble. It needs its own.
Ignoring everything.
Exactly.
It's like an insulation.
I call it the love bubble because to a certain degree, young love is blind. It can't see anything. No matter how much I tell you that girl is not good for you. Mr. Zimba is a hater. He hates. He hates. Your mom will come, Sani. That one. Wait. Mom. You see now. You see the problem. Wait. No. I think I'll be staying at school. I'll be lodging on my own. I'll be working. That's how you've moved out. But what I'll tell you is this. The issue that is there is everyone has a history. Now we're talking about the psychological aspect. Everyone has baggage. Listen to the statements I'm going to make. Everyone has baggage. Everyone has damage. Everyone has baggage and everyone has damage. It just depends on the amount. Some have just got a carrying bag. Others come with a train,
a container,
and not container, a train with what you call those things?
Yeah.
80 of them, and you see the problem is
when you deal with. I'm just trying to make a scenario. When you deal with you can just imagine when you deal with one thing, this other thing is waiting for you to deal with, and then this other thing again, and then when you walk into this door, there's another door waiting again.
Then you discover that you okay, here's something. You get into marriage. Okay. You marry this woman. You didn't consider the psychological aspect of things. So you marry this woman. Then upon giving birth, she gets into post-traumatic depression or something like that. Now these things come as a result of damage from where this person is coming from. All of a sudden your wife hates you. And you're wondering, like,
what have I done wrong?
We've just had our Sani here, firstborn. We're all supposed to be celebrating, and your wife wants nothing to do with you and the baby because of psychological issues. Now the problem is, you didn't take time to understand where she's coming from. You didn't take time to do the research of where she's coming from because it will determine the character that is hidden in the subconscious. Look, there's no way you can say, I'm a good person when your father is a serial killer and you knew your father was a serial killer. You get what I'm saying? The thing about it is, yes, you can go for rehabilitation and all that stuff, but you see, at the end of it all, what goes into a child is what a parent puts in them. This is why, even proven in history, all these men who beat their wives, men who are abusive to their children, when you follow their history, that was exactly what was happening to them when they were growing up.
Yeah, definitely.
But here's the thing: who's going to beat his girlfriend right there when they're dating?
No.
Who's going to beat his girlfriend or his fiancée or his wife in the love bubble? No one.
No one.
But when the love bubble
Pops.
and life floods in, then you begin to see triggers called stress coming in. Triggers like stress are the ones that will bring out the real you.
I've been there.
Triggers called stress are the ones that will show what type of language you have in your system. What type of hands you have.
Are you a monster?
Exactly. Triggers called stress. You get what I'm saying? Those triggers, they're simple, but they're triggers. Don't ignore them.
I think in my own experience, I can say something on that, just on the way stress works. In my own experience, I can be I'm a very mellow person. I'm a very calm person, and I can be, well, as far as patience goes, I'm not the most patient person, but to a certain extent, I think I can be very patient in certain situations. But when stress comes in, all those things are out the window for some reason. I don't know if I think obviously it's the stress that makes it that way, but all those things are out the window, and all of a sudden my temper skyrockets, and I'm just agitated, irritated at the slightest.
So now, in a situation like
thing.
that, what type of a wife will you need? What type of woman will you need? In that situation,
Someone who just has to understand. Someone who has to understand.
In what manner? Be in detail.
In detail.
So that you don't get to loggerheads. How will you handle? What type of a woman would you need in that moment to get through that moment peacefully?
That's a good question. I think someone, if I could say, someone who just read the situation really. Someone who would know me enough to say, at this point in time, I think hubby doesn't need to be disturbed at this point.
What if she was the one who has caused the stress?
If she was the one who added to the stress.
No, caused the stress.
Caused. She was the cause.
Yeah.
Wow.
What would you want her to do so that you get through this amicably?
I think, first of all, she would need to leave me alone. Let me cool down first. Avoid the situation. Avoid me first at that point in time. Let me cool down, and then...
So you need a woman who doesn't have a short temper. Carry on.
Exactly. Understanding, obviously. She needs to understand who I've become at that moment.
No. Understanding, she'll never understand you. You need someone who's patient with you.
Okay. Yeah.
What else? Because you see, you know yourself.
Yes.
That's your psychological baggage and damage. So what you need is someone who's compatible to handle the baggage and the damage. So already from what you are describing, what you should look for in a woman in terms of psychological are these things that you've started mentioning.
And just like that, we have the list. Just like that, we have the list.
Yeah.
Just like that, we have the list.
And I think that's one thing we should focus on as young people. Let's say we discover ourselves, discover who we really are, and if we know that and the faults that we have, I think it would be easier to find a partner.
Exactly. Because once it's not for you, for the benefit of the partner, it's for your own benefit. Because if you know yourself, you know your damage and your luggage, it's easier now to look and say, me, I need a woman who's like this. Now you start specifically looking for that compatibility, that psychological compatibility. You've already done the checks and balances with the intellectual compatibility. Now you go to the psychological compatibility. If you can pass these two, you're ready for what I call now the secondary relationship. Now is when now you're ready to say, okay, let's take it a step further. Let's now get the people that matter to know. You get what I'm saying? At the primary stage, it's easy for you to say, you know what, me and you are not compatible. Go your way, go my way. No one will get hurt. But when you start going a little bit further, now when I say the term intimate, I'm not saying sex, no kissing, no hugging. Intimacy means getting closer. And what's the best way to get closer? Parents must know Usuma is the one who's dating my daughter. Parents must know Danny is the one who's dating my daughter.
Wouldn't it be nice to start with maybe even before parents? I think because, I don't know, because it's an African cultural context. Normally what most people do, I've seen this, and I've seen this a lot of times before in our context. You first probably start with maybe the siblings, and maybe people maybe at church and that sort of thing. So that by the time, okay, maybe how would you say that order would work? Because normally people would do this. Maybe it's like you'd say parents, right? You'd say people at church, siblings, and that sort of thing. So that by the time the parents get to know about it, like homies are already ready to, make arrangements for the wedding and that sort of thing.
No, it shouldn't be like that.
I agree.
It shouldn't be like that. Because the thing is, look, you're still getting to know this person. Remember, marriage is a lifetime decision. You see, show me a scripture. I'll challenge you both as believers in the next episode we do. Show me a scripture where Jesus or God himself approves divorce. I know the scripture where Moses approved divorce, not God. But I want you guys to show me a scripture where God and Jesus approve divorce. If you can find that scripture for me,
we will search for an eternity.
You see, the thing is, today people don't understand. The next step, when I talk about intimacy, now a man has to prove himself to be a man. For the ladies, he has to prove himself to be a man. How best can Wusuma prove himself to my daughter? He has to come and approach me. He has to have the courage to come and see me.
Mr. Zimba, scenario, real life scenario. I've got a cousin, right? I've got a cousin. Before he married his wife, he lives. Right now, he's living in South Africa with his wife, happily married, happily ever after. I know you can say something to that. There's no happily ever after, I know.
Happily
but
ever after.
for the sake of happily ever after.
That's the stories that haven't ended.
That's what he likes to say. That's his favorite thing. Okay, yeah. So, anyways, before he started dating his now married wife, he called because his wife's dad lives in Chingola. He called in Chingola. He called her dad to say, "Oh, I would like to date your daughter. I would like to start dating your daughter and that sort of thing. I'd like to get into a relationship with her." He found it offensive to him to say, "Why would this young man be informing me of such things?"
I can guarantee you.
So there was that misunderstanding to say. So I don't know if it's like a cultural thing. You know what I mean? Like not many parents are comfortable with like knowing that kind of thing.
No.
They would want to. It feels like our parents would want to know such things at the end. Like things are this.
You see, maybe go ahead.
With what you have said, because relationships and marriage is a lifetime decision, right? And I feel the approach wasn't okay.
Yes, the approach was not okay. There's a proper way to show respect to the other family. Look, this is the man you're going to be calling your father-in-law, literally your own father. Is that how you talk to your own father? So already his approach was wrong. There's a right way. If you're serious about it, this is why, look, certain procedures to show respect. Look, respect is universal. It's universal. Anywhere where you go, everyone appreciates respect. Now the thing is this: I'm not going to go to another man and just tell him, "Hey, I want to date your daughter." No. Wait.
Yeah.
I've got where I'm coming from. Okay, this is why you have to understand the secondary stage of now dating. I said a man must prove himself to be a man. He has to do right by the woman. In other words, first of all, I'm going to go to my father and say, "Paps, here's the woman I want to marry." My father will know the procedures to say, "Okay, you want to get engaged. The right way to do it." Look, thank God for the Westerners, good for them. But the right way to do it here in Africa is now me, I'll look for someone who will go to represent you to that man's daughter, that family. And that family, of course, when they say yes, you are officially, you are officially engaged. Now, when you just arrive at their gate, they will call her. Oh, when Musuma comes at my gate, the first thing I'll shout is, oh, Mary, you've got a visitor. That's it. He's officially engaged. In other words, remember, it's not dowry. He's just said, I'm the one dating this woman.
He's made his intentions known.
Exactly. But here, it's not about that family. I'm talking about him proving himself to be a man. And this is where a lot of things collapse when it comes to your generation. This is where now girls automatically start sleeping with guys and guys start sleeping with girls. Why? Because they're not giving each other a chance to prove themselves. Now the girl is like, no, how can he just leave me? But you didn't give him a chance to prove himself as a man. If he's a real man, he'll do right by you. He'll go to his father.
Leakage. Leakage.
Yes. He'll go to his father. Inform his father first. Dad, there's a young lady I want to officially start dating. Now we're talking about secondary dating now. There's a young lady I want to officially date.
Welcome to the University of Relationships.
Then what will happen is the father, your father, will now tell you, okay, Sani, if that's the case, it is who? You will explain who she is, where she's from, what her name is, her address, fiance. No, listen. Those details your father needs them. Because now what will happen is your father will go and look for an elderly friend to say, my man, Sani has found someone.
Let's go.
We need to take place because he wants to get serious with this woman. Okay, I need you to go on my behalf because me being his father, I can't go there. So now my friend, my older friend will now go and represent my family. Bashimukombe, Fiamba Nomba. Oh, okay. They come to you, Danny. She's your daughter. And you say, now this is showing respect. This gift that you have brought to me. Okay, I've accepted it. Your son can date my daughter.
Wow.
That's what it means.
Wow.
Then now what will happen when my elder friend comes, you come and say, it is well now. You can go. You can go with your head held high. No one will come out pointing a gun at you or chasing you with dogs. You can go.
The door is wide open.
Why,
bro?
Because our family knows and your family has recognized.
Everyone's aware.
All the family authorities have recognized and they are aware. You get what I'm saying? Yep. You're not stealing anyone's child.
Light.
And that's the right way to do it. You will never see a man disrespect you if you do the right thing.
Green light, big.
You never. Even her father, the moment he sees you for the first time and you say, my name is Musuma, automatically I'll even call my daughter, oh, Mary. That's it. Because he's not here to see me. No. Everything be concerning me and him. No, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah. The engagement is done.
We sorted it out.
The engagement is done.
We sorted it out.
Now, the engagement can take years. No problem. He's putting his life together. He's just saying, me, I want to secure this young lady. Because I don't think I can find another one. You get what I'm saying? He has to prove himself as a man. When you get to the second stage of dating, now a man must prove himself to be a man and a woman must prove herself to be a woman. What do I mean? I'm not talking about sex. No.
But before we get into that, Mr. Zimba, I think that requires its own. Yes, it requires its own.
Why are you doing this to the? Why are you doing this to the?
I know the vibe is going well. It's going well, but it just requires its own special episode. You know, its own special episode because there's some deep stuff there that we can touch on. Yeah, there's some deep stuff there that we can touch on. So real quick, just moving back to B. Then we'll move back to Mr. Zimba. B, what are some of the problems that we face as millennials when it comes to relationships, and why do you think these occur?
Okay, I think, what would I say? Some problems that we face is that there's so much influence on social media where, you know, people are posting with their girlfriends, with their lovey-doveys and whatnot, and they don't feel left out. Mm-hmm. So you just join for the sake of, okay, you know what, let me also take some nice pictures with my boyfriend, let's look good together. But then they forget that, you know what, being in a relationship is real. Mm-hmm. You know, it's reality, it's challenging, it's not that things are going to be easy. And then we also don't look, let's say, I would say, look deep down and see the person for who they really are. We look at the outward appearance. Let's say I would date someone because she's got a nice shape, she's beautiful, and then we forget about the inner beauty. You see, and yeah, that's the same thing for young ladies also. They would judge a man by his wallet. So yeah, these are some of the problems.
Louder, B. And they'll judge a man by his what?
By his wallet.
By his what?
His wallet.
By his what?
By his wallet. So if there is no money, there is no love. So that's how it is.
You know, in fact, just agreeing to what you said.
Oh, hold on. Before you say something, you're just describing Mr. Zimba's own experience.
Okay.
Yes.
You know,
without going into much detail, so he can relate. Trust me.
Very much so.
On that one, he can relate.
Very much so.
How things all of a sudden just change when the well goes dry.
Oh my God,
dude!
You begin to see a side of people that you didn't expect to see. You know, a lot of things that I would like maybe tell you guys now is that try and look beyond the things that can expire. One of the things that expires is beauty. Look, 50 years down the line, is your wife still going to have the shape she had? I'll give you an example. How many, I'm sure you've all run into photos of your parents when they were young, like,
yeah.
Bali was actually built.
You know what
I'm saying? Mom was like,
hey,
exactly. Mom is like,
this is
someone,
deep,
when you look at her, you're like,
are you the same person?
Mom, is this you in the picture?
What happened? What happened?
You know, you say that yes, that is like,
I can't believe it.
This could be Auntie Nani Kane, not you. Yeah, no. It's me. Can't you see the person I'm standing with is your father? He's good here. You get what I'm saying? Beauty expires. That's just the truth about it. None of us ever thought, look, even me, when you see me like this, at one point I had a six-pack. I was like, what? But time came, and no matter how much you exercise and do what, then suddenly you've got ulcers, and then suddenly your body and you're like, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah.
No more stress. And that's the thing. And you see, life changes you. And you see the change of life. Accept it. I don't know, like I said, again, I have nothing against the Western world, but I don't really fight against change. Old age should come with honor. It shouldn't be something that I should fight with Botox and all these things. Why? Because you see, at the end of the day, if you're with someone you love, it's not about their, like Usuma said, it's not about their outside appearance. It's now getting in love with the inner person. The good woman that she is to you. Okay? Because trust me, guess what? You may not like the statement, but even children pass. They come and they go. They have their own lives. It will just be you and that lady you married. And that's the thing. All of you guys, all of you have finished school and all that. You're at university. Are you at home?
Yes.
Are you at home? And I mean,
okay.
Are you at home?
No.
No, not. Because very soon you finish, get a job. And if your job requires you to work in Livingstone,
have to.
You're on your way out.
I have to move
Either way, you're on your way out.
Basically, no. Once you are in university,
You're out.
you are out.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. Look, at the end of the day, your dad is just with the very woman he married. But the truth of the matter is, does she still look like the woman she was?
No.
No. Not at all. Suddenly there's wrinkles. Suddenly now, you're like, but the woman I saw in this photo, Mom, you should burn these photos because it's not you. You get what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Now, what keeps two people together at that time? Because time has proven to show them what true love is. It's on the inside and not on the outside, because these things are fleeting. That's why it's very important. Now, the other thing as well is time has also shown them to say, look, what they have between the two of them has got nothing to do with a third party. Following friends because they are having roses for supper and chocolates. No. They have their own way of celebrating their love. That's them. But time teaches you. I've seen with youngsters today, especially when things like February comes through, everyone is wearing red, everyone wants to take his girl out wearing...
Mr. Zimba on that one, pali pressure. Such things. There's pressure. And just a scenario, just an example. Busuma and I, let's say we're both dating, and our girlfriends know each other, right? Our girlfriends know each other. His girlfriend's birthday comes up, he does something for her proper. There's
now
pressure.
you have to be
That's the thing. Now, when my girlfriend's birthday comes up, there's pressure to say, I need to.
Did you see what Vusuma did?
If not Vusuma's standard, or at least I need to top.
You have
that
to exceed.
standard.
You have to exceed. That's just a fact.
Exactly.
And,
so.
And I think that's another problem that we face as young people.
Yeah, man.
Compare relationships.
Like why are we looking? I don't know. B. What's up with looking at other people's items? Why can't we just focus on what we're doing? Why can't we build what we're building? Why do we need to focus on what Benabusuma, what Mr. Zimba, what these guys are doing? Why?
I'll call it relationship insecurity. It's something both of you have in you. Because if one of you is not insecure, you'll be able to comfort your friend. Say, look, I love you despite all those rubbishes. But the problem is this. If even me, I'm insecure, now I'll be like, Wasuma, you've messed up, dude. Guy, you buy a car for your girl. Now, I have to like kill myself to go. What car did he buy? He bought the new Corolla. Me, I have to push myself and buy maybe a BMW for
there's
her.
pressure.
Yeah.
So Valentine's, maybe even like long weekends. Especially long weekends. So, especially for the guys. Guys are under pressure. Now it's like, I have to do something. I have to make time on the long weekend. We have to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's one thing that has to change. You have to look at things that make you happy when you're together.
This is why you have to look at the intellectual compatibility. Because if your woman doesn't put pressure on you on things like that, and she knows that, no, me, my guy is not into things like this, you will never be under pressure. Never. No, let's weekend out. No, I want to spend time at the Sun Hotel. We live in Ndola, you want to go to the Sun Hotel? Who has the money for that? No, that's what I want.
It's crazy.
I know, I won't mention names. I've mentioned this example because I know of two couples that had to do that.
That's crazy.
They had to go and have a weekend at the Sun Hotel. The guys both came back complaining. Everything was expensive. I was like, but why didn't you just maybe even just take a lodge? What's the issue?
It just had to be the Sun Hotel. It just had to be the Sun
Yeah,
Hotel.
because people are now looking at how much you have spent,
You know?
and not the thought that 'cause
Everyone
it's
goes
the
to
thought that counts.
the Protea. Everyone goes to the what? Ask for
I think this problem can actually be extended. Now I see where the problem of the whole big wedding thing comes from. I think the problem starts from at the relationship level. Now I'm seeing the connection, because all of a sudden there are these expectations during the relationship. So that by the time you get to the wedding, it's like we need to have this big item because Busuma and them had a wedding with 303. Sorry, B, I know I'm using your name a lot, but you understand. You feel me. We're together. Yeah. So Busuma and them had a wedding of 300 people. So we need to have a wedding at 300 people. Where did they have it? They had it at the Protea. Okay, so we also need to have it at the Protea. What did they have there? They had a cake of what? So we need to have that as well. So it's like,
yeah, they want to come out on top. And
so now it's like
we are now focusing on other people's thoughts and not on ours. Because when you go to the Sun Hotel, definitely pictures are going to follow. You'll be taking all these selfies. Oh no, these guys are having fun.
And trust me, dude, Mr. Zimba said this many times. At the end of the day, that's just the wedding. That's just the celebration. But what happens after that? Homies bounce. Now it's just you and your old lady. So what are you going to do now?
And the bills.
And the bills, yeah.
How is this a funny situation? Something similar happened to me. We decide, myself and my ex, we were like, okay, let's get married. But I don't want a big wedding. Even she's like, I know, even me, I don't want a big wedding. Why don't we just do this? Okay, at that time I was running my own company. So I'm like, okay, why don't we just do this? We do a church service, and then we hold a serious bride for the family. I was already renting a house, so I was like, okay, we hold a bride. We buy them the meats, we buy them everything they want. They eat, they drink, they get drunk, they'll be at home. We already have a maid. She'll clean up. Those who need to go home will go home. Us will go and sleep at a lodge. We'll leave the house for them. Let them eat, drink, be merry. Aye. So fortunately enough, I get some business in Botswana. I go for about roughly 3 to 4 months. I come back. The person who takes me to a lineup. So I'm looking, I'm like, oh, who's getting married? I know this is your lineup. I was like, no, we didn't agree to a lineup. Now, cost starts going up.
Actually, Mr. Zimba, it's actually much funnier than that. At that point, he didn't know.
I didn't know.
He had done all these things, and then he's actually enjoying the lineup. He's like, oh, okay.
I was enjoying it.
This is cool.
I'm looking at all familiar faces.
No one has told him that it's actually his.
Because
by the end of the day, that's when he.
Yeah, at the end of the day, then I'm told
it's actually yours.
I was like, no, we didn't agree to a lineup. Now the people who I need to talk to start avoiding me. My late mother-in-law and my wife, my ex. They start avoiding me. I'm like, no. We discussed this issue. We were like, look, church service, a serious bride for the families. They can invite as many friends as they want. I've already talked to Coca-Cola and them. They can bring the bottles, the alcohols, whatever they want. Us will go and load somewhere else. There was no lineup, there was no reception, there was no what. Now, all of a sudden, there's a lineup. I'm like, so this lineup, they are going to dance where? No, it means we have to organize for a reception. Where? For how much? And all of a sudden, the cost starts inflating. And exactly like what Micah said, at the end of it all, everyone left. It was me, my wife, and
the bills.
And that's the thing that people don't get. There's life after the wedding. What happens? You get what I'm saying?
It's not happening ever after.
No, it's not. The problem is you find that you spent even what you had saved to say, okay, you know what? Imagine if I had saved enough money to say, actually, what I want when we have all these functions, I buy you a car.
Yeah.
But because of the bills, I have to pay them.
So that gets in there.
So it all gets into the thing. Because initially, I didn't want a lineup. No, I did not want a lineup. I didn't want a reception. No, I just wanted a church service. They declare husband and wife. In the evening, we give our home for the families. They come, they eat as much as they want. They do. We already got the police. I was ready to get the police permits and everything, so that if they're playing the stereo loud, no problem. Just do your thing.
So when the agreement was made, things changed because
I left.
No, but because
there was influence.
Yes, exactly.
all of a
So
sudden,
because of seeing other things that have happened, then things end up changing.
how can you do some? I bet someone was like, how can you do this? You've seen your friends are doing that.
Yeah,
Then
and
you just come and do.
It's funny, but you know, it's also a problem that we face as young people these days. We get wrong advice from the wrong company.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you've got the right friends around you, definitely they'll advise you best on what to do with this person. But then if you've got the toxic friends, they'll advise you in other ways. So they'll say, okay, look at his pocket, or if it's guys, look at her beauty, things like that. So the friends that you have around you also is really important.
You see, at the end of the day, what people don't understand is that marriage is a war. Marriage is a war. And on the battlefield, it's either they are fighting with you or they are fighting against you. It's easier when they are fighting with you. It's harder to handle marriage. This is why people get divorced. It's harder to handle marriage when they are fighting against you. Everything you're doing, it becomes a fight. What's happening? We're not getting along. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'll give you an example.
Okay, sorry, we're getting to the end. We've only got a couple of minutes.
That's okay.
So
we can just wind it up.
Yes, we can just quickly wind it up. So, just real quick, maybe you can add to some of the problems that you've mentioned that we face in our generation in terms of relationships. You can just add to that to say, what are some of the solutions? I know we've already touched on those in terms of knowing the person, influence as well, keeping influence out of the relationship, external influence. But what are some of the other things that we can do to change the way we do relationships for the better, so that at least we can move in a positive direction as young people? And then from your side, Mr. Zimba, observations. Yeah.
Okay. So I feel some of the solutions that we can bring up is that communication is key in terms of decision making, but communication is key. You know, you have to know what the other person is thinking and feeling, so that you know how to act or react. And another thing I would say is, like, to women, do not judge a man by his wallet, but see the things that he has in his mind. Because, you know, things change. You know, you were broke then, and then you just can't have money. And so, yeah, the young people must be more supportive if it comes to dreams, and because that life that they are building is both of them are actually going to benefit from it. And another thing is that, you know, they should bring their relationships out there. They're not supposed to hide, because, you know, these things that happen in hidden places are the ones that even bring out problems. We find these pregnancies and, oh, hey, who's the guy? We don't know the guy with this and that. But yes, and another thing, you know, our parents are supposed to know about, you know, these relationships that we're in, because there'll be times that we're going to be facing challenges that they may have faced and might have good advice for you. And so, yeah, just make your relationship known and communicate. If you are facing problems, go to the right people also, because they'll give
Go
you
to the Mr.
advice.
Zimbas, eh?
Yes. Go to the
So
right
real
people.
quick, Mr. Zimba, just your observation and just an advice for guys our age group, real quick.
My observation when it comes to relationships is that your generation doesn't want to seek advice. Basically what he's been touching on. Your generation doesn't want to seek advice. So I'll say in just a few words that the moment you start seeking advice, there's safety. You'll make the right decisions, and of course seek advice from elderly people who've been there before.
Awesome. So, sorry guys, just had to cut it short a little bit there, but thank you so much for joining me once again, Mubanga and Mr. Zimba as well. Thank you both. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for your time.
And we'll definitely continue continue
Yeah.
this conversation again.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Sure.
All right.